Tesla Autopilot. It's the most well-known driver assistance system in the world, and its features have impressed millions. But it's even more impressive than meets the eye. When people think about autopilot, they tend to look at what it can do. It can keep you within a lane, even in tight curves. It can adjust its speed to match the car ahead of you. It can change lanes on its own. It can take highway exits on its own. You probably already know all of this if you've ever used autopilot, if you've witnessed it, or even if you just looked into it online. Now, this stuff alone is incredible, and it's enough to amaze almost anyone who gets to see it in action, but trust me when I say that this is just the tip of the iceberg. The key to seeing how impressive autopilot actually is lies in the smallest details. In February of 2020, Tesla released this 30-second clip showing an example of what the forward-facing autopilot camera sees, along with all the annotations made by the computer, which demonstrates what the system understands about the world around it. Okay, so at first glance, it looks pretty complicated, but also pretty cool, right? Let's take a closer look at the details. Let's start with these arrows on the road. Now, we've all seen these before, indicating which way you can turn, but look at how they're labeled. LA, FA, and RA. That's left arrow, front arrow, or forward arrow, and right arrow. These are correctly labeled by the system. If we keep advancing, we can already see LA, FA, and RA in the distance. Now, if we move closer, it reveals that those are correct annotations of each arrow. If you're not impressed yet, just remember that this is a computer recognizing arrows on a video that it has never seen before. Alright, let's talk about stop signs. Now, there's a stop sign coming up, as you can see here in the intersection, but if we rewind to go see where autopilot first saw that stop sign, we can see that it actually found it really far back, all the way out here. If I can find this frame, and if we zoom in, we could see that stop sign labeled and outlined in red. Now, if we keep going, as we approach the intersection, we can see that not only is the stop sign labeled, but the line where the car should stop is also labeled with a red line, as well as the letter S for stop. Over here, we have another stop sign coming up, and as you can see, it's labeled with the red outline as well as the stop line. And even though that truck was there, it still managed to properly label the stop line. Pretty impressive. Alright, next up is probably my absolute favorite part of this video. It's super impressive. So if we look here on the left side, the third row from the bottom, there's a value called wet road with a number value associated to it. Now I want you to pay close attention to the number and the value associated to wet road as we approach a puddle in the distance right in front of that stop sign. So as we go forward, the puddle begins to come into view, and there we go, wet road has increased and is highlighted in green or yellow. That is just one of the most impressive things that I have seen autopilot do. And if you're not impressed, then you should be, because this is a computer recognizing water on a road from a video feed that it has never seen before. Now, another very interesting thing we can see in this clip is the little red X that appears right where the road splits to go left or right. Now, I suspect that this red X is the system labeling the lane line that goes to the right as a lane line that autopilot should not follow. This is brilliant because the car is in the left lane and the system recognizes that and labels the right lane line with an X so that it does not follow it. Now, if this little detail doesn't seem very impressive to you, try to put yourself in the shoes of a computer. You as a human have deductive reasoning. You obviously know that you should not be following that line, but the computer has to take all of the information it has in the surroundings to make a decision about whether or not it should follow that lane line. This is a computer that we're talking about, and the fact that it can use that information to make that decision is extremely impressive and gives me hope for autopilot actually completing full self-driving in the future. In terms of traffic lights, we can see here that there are two green lights at this intersection. They are both labeled by green rectangles. So we know here that the cameras and the computer recognize both the color and the location of both of these traffic lights. Next, let's take a look at how cars are labeled. Now here you can see that there's a yellow 3D box around all cars that Autopilot can see. And as we make this turn here, there's something interesting about the cars parked on the right. Even though the cars are not fully visible, the system still predicts those boxes and where they are. Another interesting thing that we can see here as the car drives along is that on the right side, where the cars are parked, we can actually see that the computer indicates a line, a lane line. Even though there's no actual line painted, the car recognizes that those parked cars are a border in a sense where the car cannot go, and therefore puts a lane line. I'm sure that there are some other things in this video that I did not pick up on, but those are a few things that I found extremely impressive. And honestly, it's a look into the future of Autopilot and what it really is capable of. And I think this is proof right here that full self-driving is definitely possible and that it will occur sometime in the future. But the bottom line of this video was just to show how impressive Autopilot really is. It's a lot more than you see on the surface to actually see what the computer understands and what it does. So I just wanted to share this since I was so impressed by it. That's it for this video. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below. And don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more videos about Autopilot or about electric vehicles in general.